Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Nick here. So today I'm going to run through the best lead generation channels to find property investors, and I'm going to rank them from number 5 to number 1. Okay, so if you are a property sourcer looking for potential property investors, if you work in the real estate market, either in the secondary or the primary off-plan market, or you're a property developer looking to attract more investors into your projects, then this is a great starting point in terms of how you can get more attention, more eyeballs on the brand, and ultimately more sales. So let's get into it, guys, and we'll get started. So for those that don't know, my name is Nick. I've started and run two off-plan real estate agencies in the UK and Dubai, generated nearly £5 million in commission, and sold one of those businesses now as well. Throughout that process, obviously, I've learned systems, processes, procedures, spent a huge amount of money doing different things, so learned a lot of lessons, and now I offer the knowledge through consulting, mentoring, training, and lead generation services as well. And again, that's to property sources, agencies, and developers. Now, today's topic of choice. So I've tested multiple lead generation channels over the years. So Facebook, Instagram, Google, SEO and pay-per-click, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, and many more. I've spent over £500,000 generating investor leads specifically for my own company, and I often speak to CEOs in other real estate agencies as well when we're offering marketing services and I'm doing consultation. So I've got an exceptionally good understanding of what converts and what ultimately gets the deal on the back end. Because remember, it's not just about getting the attention, it's what matters is. So when we all get paid, basically. So in this video, watch till the end. That will be the number one top converting channel where most of your budget should be spent. But in the meantime, we'll count down from 5 to 1 and I'll cover the pros and cons of each channel. Kicking things off, organic traffic. Now, this is kind of a broader approach, should I say, so it's not limited to one channel, but the concept here to discuss is organic traffic, content marketing, and social media. In other words, you and your team posting on Instagram, posting on YouTube organically, and then trying to get reach that way. So ultimately, this can be a good strategy because you'll have quality leads that do come through when they do, but you have to think of the 80-20 rule as I've written here on the left. 80%, probably a lot more like 95% to be honest, of your investor traffic should be coming from paid media, and I'll explain why later. But there are some advantages. It's free, and you can ultimately build a long-term source of leads because you're paying with your time, not your money. So it's a good opportunity to do that over a long period of time. Builds credibility and brand authority. So once you do get in front of the right eyeballs and they're constantly seeing you, they're seeing your on the job, you're showing your knowledge, you're adding value, that can be really beneficial. And if you look on places like YouTube, I've left the brackets off the end of that sentence, but if you look on YouTube where you produce content, it can become a compounding asset. What I mean by that is when you make a video, you put it on YouTube, it doesn't just disappear like it does on Instagram Reels or TikTok. It stays on there and it gathers views over time. So if you've got a good call to action there and the content of the video is relative and somewhat evergreen, then you can get, and you get high intent leads. So the difference between someone coming organically and finding you either via SEO, YouTube or social media versus paying to get that traffic, the quality of the lead is generally a lot better and that's reflected in show up rates, response rates to calls and to back end conversion. So do keep that in mind. It can be a really good avenue, and obviously that's because you've built a lot of trust throughout that process. Disadvantages, this is the main one for me, it's slow. It's slow. We've got to think about how we're going to get conversions in the next 30, 60, 90 days, not in the next year and a half. So it can be slow. It takes a while to build up your brand, to get followers, to get traction, to get to your target audience, okay? And it can be super competitive on some channels. Like, how many agents are in Dubai or on Instagram doing posts, etc. There's only so many G-Wagons that you can see. It requires strong content strategy and patience. Kind of touched on this already, but it requires a high level of output. To do it well, it does take a lot of time, no matter what people say. Posting on Instagram every day, getting good market data to put out to the marketplace is, time consuming, and it's hard to scale. So with paid media, in one day you can go from spending £100. The next day you could put it up to £20,000 and you'll instantly get a higher volume. In organic, it doesn't quite work like that. So it is quite hard to scale. And paid media is just like, it's on steroids basically. So keep that in mind. There's a bit of an overview for organic traffic, whether you're posting on Instagram, doing blog posts, posting on YouTube. They're all kind of under the same umbrella. Number 4, TikTok. So the new generation, very low cost and surprising success. So I had multiple deals convert personally, though I'm not in sales as much personally myself. We've had some really, really good results. Very cheap cost per lead. The reason being is it's less competitive from advertisers, right? So you see all the big boys on there, but ultimately there's less agencies on there, there's less developers on there, so it is easier to get in front of your target audience, and the quality is pretty decent. If you can do your targeting correctly and you are, only advertising to people over 40 or over 30, 35, whatever that age is, just make sure that you're taking the right steps to ensure your targeting is accurate. Viral potential for brand exposure. So if you're on there, you can amplify existing content you've got, get your name out there, and you can get a lot of eyeballs and a lot of views very, very quickly in comparison to old channels. For example, if you think about posting on Facebook stories versus posting on TikTok, ultimately it's the same content because it's short form video, but your exposure is going to be significantly more on TikTok. So keep that in mind. It's great for top of funnel awareness because you can get a lot of eyeballs on it very, very quickly. Disadvantages, low investor intent. Okay, so people, they're not typically in a working frame of mind when they're on TikTok. So you do get a lot of people that are just window shopping, browsing. It's ultimately a numbers game. So keep that in mind. It's harder to track and retarget leads effectively. So unless you're sending them to a landing page and you've got cookie and you're remarketing to them via different channels there, it can be quite challenging on TikTok. Normally it's either you get their information at the start or you don't, basically. So over time that should improve as the advertising back end and the algorithm becomes more advanced. Last one, and perhaps the most important though, is it requires constant content creation, because basically what happens is videos fatigue very quickly on TikTok. So you can run an ad, a week later you'll need to do another video for the advertising creative. So keep that in mind. It is quite high maintenance, so to speak. Number 3, Google pay-per-click, pay to play. Fast and high quality, but it's ultra competitive. So if you're selling property in London, Manchester, Birmingham, Liverpool, Dubai, Bali, Marbella, it doesn't matter. The minute you advertise on Google, you are competing against the biggest budgets in your marketplace. So you need to think about that. Doesn't mean you need to start with a huge amount of capital, but you've just got to be aware you're going to pay a premium for that lead. Obviously, going on to the advantages now, it is high intent traffic. So they are going on Google searching for, your products and services. It is scalable. So as I touched on earlier, you can push a few buttons and you can spend a lot more and get a lot more quality traffic. And then you can really analyze the numbers, click-through rates, conversion rates, etc., and make a data-driven decision. And you can be hyper-targeted in what you go after. So you might go for off-plan property London keywords, which is going to be quite broad, quite generic and very competitive. Or you might go for buy-to-let investment property in East London. Okay? And then anyone that clicks on that is very, very, ultimately qualified because they've typed in that specific wording. Disadvantages, it's expensive. Your cost per lead might be 2-3 times more than other platforms. You can burn money exceptionally quickly if it's not optimized properly, if you're not testing, and to sum things up, if you haven't got a good paid media manager looking after that account, you will burn through money like there's no tomorrow. Okay? You'll get rubbish leads, you'll get overcharged for the cost per lead, and it just won't be a viable model for you. So keep that in mind. Google pay-per-click can be phenomenal, which is why all the big companies do it. But when you do it, you've really got to stay on the ball and make sure you have someone that knows what they're doing when you're advertising there. Number 2, similar platform, the same platform, but Google SEO. So for those that don't know, pay-per-click is when you advertise on Google and it's those adverts you see on the top and sometimes the right-hand side of the page when you go and type in your search term. SEO is underneath the advert, so it's the organic traffic. So SEO is the practice of making your company move higher in those rankings. It's called search engine optimization. So if you're number 1 organic for something like Buy to Let Yield Map UK, then you're going to get a lot of traffic I use that example because we rank #1 for that in the UK. So it's a really, really good traffic source for us. It takes a lot of patience. We've been investing in SEO for 4 or 5 years now, paying every month, month in, month out, £1,000+, but the ROI is incredible. Okay, it's the highest quality traffic you can find, but it takes a long, long time. Okay, so the advantage is it generates high intent leads organically over a long period of time. It builds long-term brand authority because your website is becoming trusted by Google. So people know if you're ranking high on Google that you've got good quality content on your website and your brand's associated with, with quality basically. And you don't actually spend to advertise on when you're operating an SEO campaign. You're fundamentally optimizing the website, putting out written content, etc., etc. So you do have SEO managers and you do need people to be dedicated to this job of optimizing your company for SEO, but you don't pay a direct advertising budget. So yeah, no ad spend required, which is really, really good. So if you get it right, once you're set up, you can get genuine leads on autopilot. Okay. So for example, my website now, we're in the position where we don't spend on SEO. It just comes in. The leads will just tick over and it'll just say SEO lead, SEO lead, SEO lead, SEO lead. Okay. So you don't do anything and you just get notified of the leads coming in, which is a really, really strong position to be in, especially when you think they're going to Google and typing in the keywords that we want. So we know it's quality traffic. Disadvantages, as I've said about 3 times, it takes months, if not years, to see significant results. As I say, for me, it took 2+ years to really get proper traction. Requires ongoing content creation and technical expertise. So there's various elements of SEO once you break it down in terms of how to optimize it. You've got on-page SEO, which requires lots of backlinks, all the titles to be correct, relevant keywords to be used, constant written content production. Or you've got more external stuff where you can build partnerships with different websites, get backlinks, drive traffic to your website, build your authority with Google that way. Like, there is quite a technical element to it and it is very time consuming. So do keep that in mind. And then just lastly, we've been wiped out a few times, algorithm changes. So Google overnight can just say, we're now prioritizing websites with video on, and then bang, you can lose your rankings from where you were. So yeah, that's really, really important to think about. And finally, guys, you may have guessed it, but the #1 highest converting channel for us and many other companies in terms of results is Meta. So speed and reach is optimized on these platforms. If we just look at Instagram and Facebook, and we refer to that as Meta, obviously being the parent company, the main principle here is that nearly all of your audience are on these channels, whether they are actively looking for you or not. Okay, so when you think of Google, people are having to go to Google and type in the keywords that they're looking for. But what about everyone else that isn't going to Google yet? How do you target them? So Meta allows you the opportunity to do that. Really, really good advantages, okay? Best cost per lead when optimized correctly. If you can get it right, the cost per lead on Meta with a ratio to the quality is exceptionally strong. Hyper targeting options for investor audiences. So looking at their interests, where they're based, general demographics, behaviors, industries they work in, income level in some countries. It's super, super strong. And then the key point here is the remarketing. So once they're in your ecosystem, you can then run ads to them on different platforms and of different products, of market information, and you can get them to re-inquire. That's a gold mine, okay? Most of our deals come from where we've advertised to cold traffic, they've come into our ecosystem, then we've remarketed to them and advertised something else to them, and then they've re-inquired again, and then they've closed. Okay, that's a massive, piece of intelligence that most people wouldn't know unless they're in the industry. Okay, remarketing is gold dust, so you have to be doing it. And whether your audience is very old, they'll be on Facebook, or if they're slightly younger, I mean, even the demographic of Instagram now is obviously quite old, they're going to be on Instagram. So they're going to be on one of those 2 platforms in most cases, so keep that in mind. And the last one, well, not the last one, but the third one I'm going to mention here is it's fast, and then you've got scalable lead generation. So this is very crucial for projects where the market is super hot and properties sell quickly. Dubai comes to mind here. Like, for example, if you have an Address hotel launch or Emaar Beachfront Towers launch, or you get a new W Residence launch in Manchester or something like that, if you're quick to market and you get, as soon as you're told from your developer or the partner agency that you're working with that this is available or you can market it, you should have adverts up within 24 hours. Okay, fresh, new launch, urgency, pick the best units, best views, phase one pricing, maximize yield, maximize resale potential and tenant demand, etc., etc. So that speed to market is absolutely paramount, because then you'll pick up the low-hanging fruit. A lot of us are advertising to the same investors. So if you get out there before your competition, then you're going to be in a super strong position to convert that lead. And you can only do that if you're quick. And platforms like Instagram and Facebook are ideal for doing that, because you can put it straight out to a remarketing audience, and then bang, you'll know you're getting it in front of the right people as well. So yeah, that's really, really important. Disadvantages: can attract time wasters, because you're going for a broad outreach, right? So you're advertising to people that are not necessarily going on Google and typing stuff in, but you can filter that down. You can ask qualifying questions. As I mentioned earlier, you can use intelligence and data that you've gathered previously, and you can target by demographics, interests, etc., etc. It requires constant creative testing to maintain performance. This is very, very true. You know, you can run something for a couple of weeks and you've got to switch it up. You've got to A/B split test different creatives like video, text. Do you want text on the video? How much of the project information do you want to sell? What hook can you use? Like, all this stuff comes into play for both the creative and the copy. And then just lastly, ad policies and algorithm changes can impact results. We've had media managers which have been banned for advertising like property bonds and stuff like that. So you can be scrutinized. You know, I won't go into too much detail, but Facebook have something what's called special categories. So housing advertisements, now relatively new, investment advertisements. So you have to select that your product is under one of those categories, and then when it is, it limits your targeting as to not to discriminate people or advertise high risk products, etc. So it's getting a bit more complex, guys. We have to stay on top of it, but if you can get Meta right, just because of the volume of people on there, the balance between volume, quality, speed to conversion, conversion rate, cost per click, etc., it's normally most attractive on Facebook. It's our highest converting channel, and it's the place where a lot of companies start. So I hope that helps, gives you some insights. If you want any extra help on this, or you want to learn more about how I can help, visit sellandscaleoffplan.com. Put simply, I offer consulting, mentoring and training, as well as lead generation services to property sources, agencies and developers, wherever you're based in the world. If you're selling off-plan property, then I can help. So you can get in touch for a free roadmap. I'll give you a strategy, what to do in the next 90 days to close more off-plan deals, and we can map that out, and I'll tell you how I can help in greater detail, no matter if you're starting out or you're an existing real estate agency or developer looking for more sales. So once again, visit sellandscaleoffplan.com. You can watch a video introduction to me, and any questions, just email me, nick@sellandscaleoffplan.com, or just book a call directly on the website. Thanks, guys. I'll speak to you soon.